Hey there, it's your girl Jai. I know you're probably watching this because someone mentioned about SSI for your child. And you're sitting thinking, well, where do I start? Because I'm having the same problem and running into the same issues. And it's very overwhelming with all the acronyms and all the big words and like the differences and all that good stuff. And I purposely think they make it like this so it could kind of tie people up and not want them to pursue it. But I'm gonna try to break it down in plain English. And the thing about it is, I don't want this just to be a video that you watch, but I also want this to be a conversation with not just me talking at you, but for people who have been through this or who's currently going through this process. A disability attorney, a physician, family, or any professional that has experience in this and helping families to navigate this. My son is about to be 17, and I was told that I needed to start this process before around his 17th birthday, leading up to 18. So again, if you're a parent or a physician or an attorney who knows about this information, please jump in the comments and offer some suggestions and advice and share your experience and your tips and your reality checks. And other parents would love to hear from you. So let's get started with this. Let's talk about the differences between SSI and SSD. So SSI is a need-based program for disabled individuals with limited income and resources, based on their disability and their financial need, not their work history, and their monthly payment amount varies by state. SSDI, it requires sufficient work credit history and may include benefits for spouse and children. So the way I understand it, and please again, somebody jump in and correct me or give more information. SSDI is for people who basically worked. I often hear my mom say things about, I got my quarters. So if you pay attention to your check, if you've worked a full-time job, you've paid into Social Security. And if you become disabled or whatever, I guess it's like a bank of money that you can pull from or that you have basically dumped into from all your years of working. So if something happens to you or you're labeled or given the title of disabled, they'll go ahead and start issuing you some of the money. SSI is based on disability, but I will tell you, back about 10 years ago, when I tried to apply for my son to have SSI, this is when I learned that it was basically a low income program. Yeah, you have to be disabled, but financially, my income canceled my son out of having SSI. And that's when I learned that the state picked it up and allowed him to have Medicaid. So I don't know if any one of you have ever been in that situation, or if you're in the process of needing SSI for your children. But this is basically the difference between it. Also, something I learned today: childhood disability benefits. Parent must be receiving SSDI or retirement benefits and can continue past age 18 if disability persists. Again, my first question for those who have been doing this: what are some of your biggest misconceptions that you've had about SSI when you first started? And please comment and let us know, because I'm pretty sure there's other parents having the same issue, because it can be so hard. You already go through being a parent, and being in God. If you're a single parent and then a parent to a special needs child, it's so much on a daily that we have to do. But when you jump into this world of paperwork and trying to figure out what's what and what you need to do, it can be very disheartening. Something I wish I would have known earlier Don't wait to apply. And I keep putting a check on that. I have a check on my calendar of when to go ahead and apply. But my question that I have is there a date? So my son will be 17 in August. And of course, he'll be 18 the following year. Any professionals, any doctors, any lawyers, any parents, could you tell me at what point should I go ahead and apply? 6 months before he turns 18? Should I apply on his 17th birthday? Cause I really don't know. And all help is needed at this point. Here's some key differences that I found. SSI, strict income asset limit, $2,000 for an individual and $3,000 for a couple. SSDI, no income asset limit, work history based. Child SSI can apply at any age if they're disabled. Again, any attorneys, any parents have anything to say about that? Because again, in my experience, this here is true, but I think it depends on your income requirement, what you're able to get. This adult transition reevaluated at age 18 with adult criteria. At what point are we needing to apply by when the child turns 18? Like 6 months prior to, a year prior to? Because especially with the climate that we're in, it probably used to be 3 months before. I wonder if somebody would say do it a year before, because the process of them processing the application and all that comes with, I'm pretty sure, Lord knows, it probably takes forever. For the disability attorneys watching, what is the most common timing mistake you see families make? And parents who've been approved, how long did it take for you to actually go from start to finish? Give these families some real numbers. Again, things like 6 months, 8 months. What do you, in retrospect, if you could give someone advice on how to go about doing this, what's the time limit? And I'm going to also do a video on guardianship, because that's another thing that I was introduced to. But right now we're talking about Social Security. And again, the questions: when should I apply? As soon as disability is diagnosed, within 12 months, before 18th birthday to prepare for adult reevaluation. Don't wait. Benefits don't pay retroactive beyond application date. I've kind of heard I've heard other situations on the retroactive pay. And again, any disability attorneys, parents, physicians, definitely jump in. I've heard that if you apply and you get denied, which I think like 90% of people get denied on their first time, and you keep applying and you finally get what you need, you get approved, they have to retro pay you. Is that still a thing? Is that still in effect? Again, in my situation, my son currently is not on SSI for his disability. So before 18th birthday, I feel like it's very vague. I need to know 6 months before his 18th birthday, 10 months, a year, like at what point before his 18th birthday. How will this affect other benefits? I know sometimes it can affect your SNAP benefits if you receive SNAP, and housing programs, things of that nature. Sometimes SSI often automatically gets you Medicaid approval. Again, in my son's situation, what happened, and I didn't even know, and I'll tell a little story about this. I had applied for his disability, and I went up to the disability office and applied. I didn't have my son with me, and I did the little pre-interview that you do when you turn in your packet or whatever. And I had like paperwork, I had bank statements, and I think I had check stubs and stuff like that. And I remember the lady telling me, she was asking, is this your only child? I'm like, yeah, this is my only child. And at the time, I made less than what I make now, but I did pretty good for myself. This woman told me, and I kid you not, she told me either you need to quit your job or have more children for you to get approved for Social Security. And I looked at her like, I know she did not just say what I think she said. And she said it again. And I felt like that was God telling me, don't worry about it. And I didn't worry about it. And this is actually what happened. So what I learned, and again, I don't know if this is for certain states or all states, because my son was basically labeled disabled by the state and by the federal, by Social Security. So when you're labeled disabled, but financially you don't fall under the requirements of Social Security, the state has to give you Medicaid. And it's a Medicaid that I would not have been able to apply for. I found that out later too. Now we have to renew it every year or when it's time to renew, but I could not apply for it. And it's called Pickle Medicaid. So definitely look that up in your state or look up what's the equivalent to Pickle Medicaid. And that's how we've been able to get my son's all his doctor's appointments, his physical therapies, OT therapy, speech therapies. And even because my insurance on my job, it would not allow him the amount of therapies that he needed. So I'm very grateful for Medicaid. Also paperwork. Let's talk paperwork. In my situation, my son, again, is about to start this transitioning into adulthood. And we've had some, I forgot the terminology for it, but he's had the IQ test. And I have those. Of course, he does IEPs every year at school, and I can get his medical records. But what, other than bank statements and stuff like that and check stubs and things of that nature, what's other paperwork that's needed? What is some other paperwork that you need on hand before you go to the Social Security office and apply for what you need, so you can have all your ducks lined up in a row? And this is also what we talk about here. Initial review is a 3 to 6 months typically. And looking at this, I would assume that it's probably best to apply maybe a year before they hit 18, but I want to see what you guys say in the comments. And again, transition from child to adult benefits. They redetermine them at age 18 because at this point they're an adult. Many childhood recipients don't qualify under adult standards. I would love to see why that is. Again, prepare for potential denial and appeal process. I don't know why they make you go through that. But why do they have to make it so hard? I'm going to make a separate video for special need trusts, and accounts and things of that nature. And, connect again. This is what we're trying to do. Connect with other parents who've navigated the process. So again, any disability attorneys, advocates, physicians, parents who have been through this situation or currently going through this situation, please like, share, comment, and definitely comment and send this to somebody you know. We're all in this together, especially in the current climate that we're in. It's really scary because you don't day by day, we kind of don't know what's going to happen. And we know that from watching the news or social media, wherever you pick up your international news and your world and United States news. So definitely like, share, comment, subscribe, add any additional questions. Again, I want to make this a community because there's a lot of us out here and it's kind of like we're just trying to figure it out. So again, like, share, comment, subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Y'all have a good one.